Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. The world of Jin was enormous. The 800 warriors from the Dry Wilderness tribe, including Luo Feng, sometimes teleported and sometimes flew fast, led by true god Northern Rock. They met lots of dangers while traveling, and they surprised lots of warriors who hadn't journeyed in the world of Jin for a long time. I heard that Nine Smoke Marsh is occupied by the strange beasts of three true gods of void space. Northern Wind looked down and exclaimed. And they lead many strange beasts. Even warriors from the East Army will come to wage wars on Nine Smoke Marsh. No wonder. It's Nine Smoke Marsh. Luo Feng looked down as well. It was a vast marsh, and clouds and mist were flowing up in the air. Sometimes, strange beasts appeared in the mist, and there were a great many true gods. It was a power 10 times stronger than Dry Wilderness tribe. 3 true gods of void space. Luo Feng exclaimed. It could be said that there were 2 kinds of powers in world of Jin, tribes and strange beasts. They all submitted to the armies. Armies were superior, but sometimes, to train the warriors, they would send ordinary warriors to fight those strange beasts and tribes. However, those fights were all just practice, so true gods of void space didn't need to meddle. They kept moving forward. Even Luo Feng was amazed at how many powerful creatures there were in the world of Jin. There are around 1,000 true gods in Dry Wilderness tribe. As for Nine Smoke Marsh, there are 10,000 true gods, Luo Feng thought. There are countless tribes and strange beasts in the world of Jin. How many great beings are there in the army? Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Northern Rock True God led the warriors, and they were in Supreme True Treasure ship, so they didn't encounter any dangers during the trip. However, they witnessed many. After around 3 months, Northern Rock True God looked to the sky in the distance and yelled, "We're arriving at the East Army Camp." East Army Camp. The warriors all followed, including Luo Feng. They could see that the sky in the distance had forces permeating from it. With the ship moving forward quickly, it became much clearer. They could see the endless army camp. It's the East Army Camp. Luo Feng was elated. He knew that there were 4 armies in the military, East, South, West, and North. Though they were all loyal to His Majesty the Godly King. And they were also competitors against each other. It's enormous, the warriors from Dry Wilderness Camp all exclaimed. It was amazing. In the Boundless Camp, soldiers were everywhere, standing close to each other. The most common ones were universe masters. Other than soldiers, there were also strange beasts who had joined the army. There were many varieties of strange beasts, which dazed all the warriors, including Luo Feng. What's that? What? It's so tall. The warriors all noticed those strange objects that were standing. Each was over 100 million kilometers tall. Compared to them, the warriors looked tiny. Huh? Luo Feng also looked at them. They were strange objects over 100 million kilometers tall, and they looked like giant, oval-shaped fortresses. There were tens of thousands of oval-shaped fortresses. Other than those, there were also quite a few strange objects that looked like flying beasts. Those are machines. Northern Rock True God exclaimed. Those are machines built by machine soldiers. Machines. Machines that can be used by a large group of warriors. Machines that can easily kill true gods of void space. The tribe warriors were all excited, and so was Luo Feng. Of course, he knew about machine-type valuables. He had heard about them from the inheritance from Duandong River, but he only knew about them. He only saw a few, yet those in the distance were all machine-type valuables. Can kill true gods of void space, confirmed Northern Rock true god with a nod. That's right. Look at that oval-shaped machine. It's called Jin Luo Sky and Land. It requires at least 1 million true gods to fully control it, and it can hold 10 million true gods. If it's used, it can kill a group of true gods of void space. Luo Feng was amazed. 10 million true gods. It was a top-tier machine even judging by the standards of the ancient civilization. The best machine the world of Jin has made is Jin Luo Sky and Land, said Northern Rock true god proudly. The material is very simple, yet the power can reach the apex. Besides, it can be mass-produced. The East Army alone has made many versions of Jin Luo Sky and Land. Even the warriors from all the armies need to use them. It's still more than adequate. There are too many of Jin Luo Sky and Land. They are for His Majesty the Godly King, and they are meant to be used for fighting outside. However, His Majesty the Godly King hasn't summoned warriors for a long time. Luo Feng nodded. Jin Luo Sky and Land was used for fighting outside. The fights inside World of Jin wouldn't involve machines like that. See those small machines like flying beasts around Jin Luo Sky and Land. That's Ju Xiu. It is also one of the best machines the World of Jin has ever made. Northern Rock true god kept introducing the machines. Ju Xiu needs at least 100 true gods to be driven, and it can hold at least 1,000 true gods. It is known for being fast and flexible. It's also great at defense. Even though it only has one fighting technique, it's a very useful machine in a large-scale war. Luo Feng nodded. Not all types of machines were suitable for large-scale wars. There were many great beings in the ancient civilization, and the large-scale wars between major powers could be horrifying. Some machines might be destroyed as soon as they entered the war zone. Machines were useful for the weak, but for ancestral teachers and godly kings, they were much less so. To true gods and true gods of void space, machines were of great use. Great machines that were fit for wars could be mass-produced, and some materials were indeed complicated. His Majesty the Godly King might have died already, Luo Feng thought. Without the summons from His Majesty the Godly King, the army in the world of Jin can only keep making machines based on the previous order. They have to keep preparing and waiting for a summons, yet they might never be summoned. Those machines might be a waste. Luo Feng shook his head. He didn't want those machines. After all, they required too many great beings to be used. Jin Luo Sky and Land needed at least 1 million true gods. How was that possible in Universe Ocean? Even Ju Xiu required at least 100 true gods, which was still over the capacity of Universe Ocean. The ancient civilization is indeed extraordinary. Luo Feng sighed. He wasn't surprised that it was this powerful. The existence of Universe Boat had implied the supreme power of the ancient civilization. If Universe Boat utilized its full power, even 100 million true gods were nothing. Unfortunately, Universe Boat is broken and has to stay there forever. The human shape, which might be His Majesty the Godly King, may be lying there eternally as well. The inheritors of Duandong River have all died, and I'm the only one left. Luo Feng shook his head. It was cruel. He could still sense the influences of the ancient civilization in the world of Jin. The East Army camp was enormous. A quarter of the tribes and strange beasts in the world of Jin joined the East Army, so there were warriors joining every day. The process was strenuous, which was why the warriors who came here for assessment formed a long line. There seemed to be no end. The spaceship landed on a plain. It could be said that 2 true treasure palaces landed in the distance as well. Apparently, they were carrying warriors as well. Quick! Come out! Hurry! Come out! Northern Rock True God yelled. All 800 warriors from Dry Wilderness tribe and Luo Feng exited the palace. They came to the plain. "Go and line up there," yelled Northern Rock True God. "Wait for the elimination. Do not fail to join the army." Northern Rock True God was very familiar with the process, so everything went smoothly. The 800 warriors, including Luo Feng, immediately stood at the back of the long line and started to wait for their turn. "Gosh, how long are we going to wait?" Northern Wind asked. Luo Feng also looked to the front. There were so many creatures, and other than humanoid creatures, there were also lots of strange beasts in the line. Apparently, it was not only those from the tribes who were joining the army. There seemed to be 800,000 waiting in line, said Northern Rock True God, glancing around. "It should take around half a month before it's your turn. Just wait here. There's no need to rush. Prepare for everything that's about to happen." Even the initial screening kills 2/3 of the candidates, and only 1/3 of them can successfully join the army. Luo Feng was astounded. 2/3 died during the initial screening. "Do not bring shame upon Dry Wilderness tribe," yelled Northern Rock True God. He then left and flew to talk to other true gods from other tribes. "Ha ha! Zonshu tribe, your warriors have also arrived. They seem fine." The true gods were talking with each other. Northern Rock True God didn't rush to leave. He would wait, as he needed to see how many from Dry Wilderness tribe would be able to join the army. Time flew by. The warriors from all the tribes and the strange beasts from all the lands were being screened. Roaring, yelling, and bellowing sounds were transmitted from the front of the line. Apparently, the screening process was ruthless. Luo Feng was moving forward with the line. After half a month, it was his turn, along with the warriors from Dry Wilderness tribe. "Next round, 3,000, roared a strange beast with a bloody horn. "Come in, all of you." 3,000 warriors, including Luo Feng and those from Dry Wilderness tribe, were led in. They were about to start being screened for the army. All the 3,000 warriors and strange beasts were led by several true gods and headed toward that giant stone arch. Milky Way. Northern Wind's eyes gleamed, and he transmitted his voice. "Kill as many as possible. If you perform well enough, you'll be selected into the special army." "Special troop." Luo Feng was startled. Northern Wind transmitted his voice. "There are many troops in the East Army, and 99% are in the ordinary troops. Chances are none of the 3,000 candidates can get into the special troop. However, you're very powerful, so there's hope for you. Remember, we need to stay close to each other when we just get in." Northern Wind and Luo Feng then followed the crowd and entered through that stone arch. The time and space immediately changed after they passed the stone arch. They entered a deserted plain, and there was sand everywhere. "Where is this?" Luo Feng looked around, and soon, the other 2,999 warriors and strange beasts also looked around. They could see clearly an area of 100 million square kilometers, and it was darker in the distance. It was a desert. "The control over the time and space of the ancient civilization is perfect," Luo Feng thought. He was standing right beside Northern Wind, and the other warriors were also staying around them. As they were looking around, an invisible force arrived, covering the entire desert. All the warriors and strange beasts looked up. A single-horned man in black armor appeared in the sky. He looked down with his cold, golden eyes. Suddenly, 2 beams of golden light shot out of his golden eyes. The beams hit the desert, becoming circles around 1,500 warriors and strange beasts. Then the group of warriors and strange beasts encircled on the left had a blurry red light, while those on the right had a blurry yellow light. An invisible pressure covered everyone, and all were intimidated. The force wasn't strong, yet its superiority, and the trembling of godly power made everyone realize that the being in the sky wasn't a true god. Instead, it must have been someone at a higher level. A true god of void space. Luo Feng looked up. A true god of void space. A being who could transcend incarnations. The single-horned man looked down and yelled, "You will be divided into two teams. You'll try to kill each other and to kill as many as possible. When I tell you to stop, those who survive can join the military. Show all your power, and if there are any exceptional ones, you might be able to join the special troop." Then the single-horned man yelled, "Begin," and disappeared into the darkness. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Half of the warriors and strange beasts glowed in red light, while the other half was yellow. They couldn't help feeling ferocious. Damn it. Northern Wind clenched his teeth. Luo Feng glanced around. Although the warriors from Dry Wilderness tribe all stayed together, almost 100 warriors were still encircled on the opposite side. No wonder Northern Wind told me to stay close to him. Luo Feng looked around. Kill. Howl. The warriors and strange beasts all started to roar and turned into streaks of light. The warriors from Dry Wilderness tribe all knew well enough not to fight those from the same tribe, and they chose to fight those from other tribes or lands, trying to kill them. Special troop. Luo Feng's eyes glinted fiercely. He had 3 goals he wished to achieve in the world of Jinn. The first one was to gather creatures from the world of Jinn, especially bodies of true gods, for him to study the composition of creatures. It could help him achieve a life gene level of 90,000 times as soon as possible and became a true god. The second goal was to learn about the secrets in Universe Ocean. And the third was to gather machine-type valuables. He knew about the ancient civilization, so he knew clearly that for the ordinary class, and even for the great beings class, machine-type valuables were highly useful. Only when someone became a supreme being would machine-type valuables be rendered useless. The more ordinary someone was, the more useful a machine-type valuable would be. A true god with a precious machine-type valuable could rival a true god of void space. Even though he had Boat of Mausoleum, that was only for defense. Shawu Wing was also an assistance type, and it was highly advanced. The complete Shawu Wings would be for highly advanced beings to use. Luo Feng needed those most suitable for him. The East Army had a great many machine-type valuables, even ones that could be used by millions of true gods all at once, not to mention those used by individuals. Those within the second category were Luo Feng's target. As long as he could obtain some of them, the humans would have a very strong and stable status in Universe Ocean. However, he inferred that the original mind knew everything, yet it had still told the ancestral gods to guide them instead of stopping them. That meant the more powerful a machine-type valuable was, the more difficult it was to get it. On his trip here, he hadn't seen any true god obtaining a machine-type valuable. That meant only those with special statuses could obtain them, not mediocre ones. Only those in the special troop could obtain them. There were special forces in the army on the Earth, and training was offered in the Virtual Universe Company. The same rule applied here. There were countless soldiers in the army of the world of Jinn, and it was normal that there were special troops, who were equipped with special valuables. Broken bodies and blood were scattered everywhere, and the great beings from both teams fought each other crazily. Kill. Luo Feng held Blood Shadow Blade and rushed toward the warriors and strange beasts. He killed everyone with a red light. The blade light was gleaming and sweeping across the area. The time and space were very stable, so there were no space ripples even beneath the power so many universe masters fighting each other. The world of Jinn is a world where there is lots of fighting, thought Luo Feng. The ancient civilization has never ended here, so the great beings are generally more powerful than those in Universe Ocean. He could tell that the weakest ones were at top tier level 4, while most of them could reach level 5, or even top tier level 5. As for Northern Wind, he was covered in grey, and each attack from him could reach level 6. He was the center of Dry Wilderness tribe, and he had a supreme true treasure armor. Kill. Kill. During the fight, some great beings from other teams might make sneak attacks, which made the fight furiously. They were all universe masters, so it was difficult to kill someone in one shot. However, universe masters fought at high speed. It was not surprising that 2/3 died within half an hour, meaning the weaker ones needed to be careful and stall for time. All they needed to do was to stay alive. The weaker ones were careful, but the stronger ones, especially the two with supreme true treasures, were trying to display as much power as they could. They wanted to be selected for the special troop. They included Northern Wind from the Yellow Light team, and a strange beast from the Red Light team. The strange beast roared and rushed toward Northern Wind. Die. You're the one dying. Northern Wind yelled as he rushed forward. Hong. Hong. The two of them fought each other, and after only a few attacks, Northern Wind was hit on the head and rolled away. He immediately stood up and clenched his teeth, shouting, "Burning godly power technique. My father is the master of Northern True Ocean. This is the power burning technique of Northern True Ocean." The strange beast with 2 wings was roaring, which upset Northern Wind. Luo Feng, who had just killed a warrior from the opposite team, turned around and yelled, "Let me fight him, Northern Wind." Luo Feng raced forward like a bolt of lightning. Great! Northern Wind retreated. He had found this strange beast to be terrifying during his fight against him. It carried a set of supreme true treasures, and he had the godly power burning technique. Though there were rules in the military, and some inheritance information within the military was forbidden to be leaked, the elements comprehended by individuals were exceptions to the rule. Northern True Ocean was a superpower among the strange beasts. There were 9 true gods of void space in Northern True Ocean, and the leader was a mighty limit true god of void space. They all enjoyed high status in the world of Jin. Compared to them, the Dry Wilderness tribe were nobodies. Die, the strange beast roared and dashed at Luo Feng. Burning godly power technique. Luo Feng sneered. It wasn't anything new to him. There were many volumes in Duan Miat created by the 3 ancestral teachers, and Universe Supreme Masters could learn the first 3 volumes. It was not uncommon for some great beings to create techniques like those of the first and second volume. After all, the world of Jin contained a rich inheritance from the ancient civilization as well. Luo Feng's shadow took on a blurry appearance. Luo Feng went to the back of that strange beast, and his blood shadow blade turned into a thin trace of light. That light immediately expanded and became a miniature universe, enveloping the entire strange beast. The killings were brutal, and with time passing, warriors and strange beasts died. But the most ferocious fight was the one between Luo Feng and the strange beast. The strange beast had a set of supreme true treasures, and he had a godly power burning technique. Luo Feng had practiced for over 8 million years, and in the space of inheritance, that was more than 8 million eras. Over the course of 8 million eras of training, his blade techniques and close combat techniques had been greatly enhanced. However, he wasn't sure about the situation in the army, which was why he didn't use all his power. After all, it would be incredible if he utilized all his power. He was a talent that was cultivated by the inheritance from Duan Dong River. And in the world of Jin, all the precious inheritance was in the military. How could he be so powerful without the special inheritance? It was unrealistic. The military might carefully examine his background, which would get Luo Feng into trouble. After he learned more about the military, he could slowly increase the amount of power he demonstrated, improve his power, and get what he wanted. Your godly power is under 50% now. You're not my match. Luo Feng was mad. His body moved fast as lightning. During those 8 million eras, he had created a close combat technique, flowing gold, based on the close combat technique Blood Ocean created by the third ancestral teacher from Duandong River. The strange beast rolled and hit the endless sand. His godly body was at less than 50%, being 10 times weaker than it had been at the beginning, and he was not Luo Feng's match. Stop! A powerful force arrived suddenly. If the force before had been like a breeze, this one was like a mountain. The universe masters who were fighting all groveled, including Luo Feng. They couldn't resist this power in the slightest. Is this the power of a true god of void space? Luo Feng wondered in amazement. The single-horned man walked down and looked around. 921 survived. UNU. The single-horned man pointed at Luo Feng and that strange beast. You too will join the Python River Army. Ha ha. We survived. We have made it into the East Army. That was one scary fellow with his blade. Luckily, he was engaged in a fight with Wu He from Northern True Ocean. If not, we would have been in deep trouble. The warriors and beasts who had managed to survive were all highly excitable, with only a handful mourning the deaths of their fellow companions who had been annihilated. Since youth, they had witnessed the annihilation of scores of companions, so this was nothing new. There was a legend that the whole world of Jin knew. Annihilation was the manifestation of reincarnation. The living souls of the world of Jin knew this by heart, so they would silently send their partners off with blessings and not be overly upset. After all, anyone on the path of great beings was destined for a high probability of annihilation. Just to enter the army, 2/3 would have lost their lives. What might happen thereafter was not a difficult guess. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Let's go quickly. In the desolated desert space, a huge, arched door appeared out of nowhere. From it, 3 true gods, all shouting at the top of their voices, walked out. The surviving warriors and beasts walked over obediently and immediately. After all, they were about to undergo the next round of selection. The 2 of you, said one of the true god warriors. He was clothed in dark red armor with a large tail, and gazed at Luo Feng and his unusual beast companion with the single, red eye on his head. Follow me. I will bring both of you to Python River Army. All right, Luo Feng replied. The unusual beast, which was badly battered, also replied, all right. The 2 followed this true god, who was the first to head outside via the arched door. Milky Way, good luck. Northern Wind shouted. Luo Feng also turned his head to shout, good luck. Just like that, the 2 parted ways. Within the army, it was not up to their will to do as they pleased. Northern Wind's ability was still far from the expectations of Python River Army. He might have been considered an elite, but he was not considered to be a true genius, so he would not be accepted into the army at the beginning. If he could demonstrate outstanding performance in the period that followed, there was a chance he could still be accepted into the special troop. The only problem was that by then, it might no longer be the Python River Army, but some other special army troop. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Luo Feng and the beast followed behind the single-eyed, true god to fly within the vast army camp. They flew at the speed of light. All of space is completely sealed. Luo Feng muttered under his breath. Seems like within the army camp, it is impossible to teleport. I am Wu He from the Northern True Ocean, a voice resounded. My father is the master of Northern True Ocean. Luo Feng turned around and grinned. I am Milky Way. Everywhere can be home to me. Oh. This beast, Wu He, nodded his hideous head to show that he understood. In the world of Jin, wars between tribes and wars between beasts were common and all too frequent. Some of the tribespeople lost their homes as a result and were forced to become refugees roaming about. Of course, there were some who were willing to roam about to hone their skills and abilities. "You are very impressive," Wu He complimented. Luo Feng smiled and returned the compliment. "You are not too bad yourself. There are many special troops within the East Army. Python River Army is just one of the many," Wu He explained. "During the initial screening we had to go through when we first joined the army, that is when they identify the extraordinary talents. It is extremely rare to be chosen for this special troop. In particular, the others will be further deployed to other troops, which is why, within a short period of time, the new recruits for Python River Army will only be the two of us. For those of us who have just joined the army, the veterans will look down on us. We have to join forces." "Join forces?" Luo Feng was shocked. "The life of a soldier is a life of battle," Wu He said. These experienced warriors were accepted into the special troops because they were outstanding to begin with. They had their inheritance of the army and long-term cultivation. With these factors combined, along with the rich experience they gained from life-and-death situations that allowed them to hone their skills whenever they go out to fight battles, indeed, they will be very impressive. Luo Feng nodded to show that he understood. "Impressive? What a joke. The warriors of Python River Army might have been really impressive, but compared to one who owned the inheritance of Duandong River, they were still a notch lower, unless they had automaton-type treasures that could allow them to bypass levels and unleash stronger powers." The army camp of the East Army was so massive that it was said to be endlessly vast. Luo Feng and Wu He followed that single-eyed true god, flying if he flew and traveling via wormhole transportation if he did so. It took around half a day's time to finally arrive before an incomparably towering hall. Inside, there were many people and beasts all over the place. "The two of you, wait here," the single-eyed true god ordered. Luo Feng and Wu He obediently waited outside the towering hall while the single-eyed true god entered alone. "What is this place?" Luo Feng asked Wu He, who was right beside him. "This is one of the military points." Wu He swayed his head, and the two wings on his neck were set to a fanning motion. "The military supplies for our Python River Army should be found here. Look, there are many warriors going in. They must be here to change their military arms." "Change their military arms?" Luo Feng was taken aback. "Yes." Wu He nodded his huge head as he said in a low voice, "All warriors relied on the various battles they fought to hone and train their skills. Time and again, training and honing of skills via life-and-death situations have seen to the annihilation of many warriors. For ordinary warriors, their chances of annihilation will be pretty high. But for us, warriors of the Python River Army, if we were subjected to situations involving the same level of danger, I'm afraid, not many will be annihilated. What we have to go through will definitely be more dangerous compared to them. Similarly, the spoils of our victory can be used to change for military credits, which can, in turn, be used to exchange for armaments. The more military credits, the more outstanding one is and the more benefits can be exchanged. You can even exchange for a group of true gods to form your personal team of bodyguards. This is also possible. Of course, the amount of military credits required is a fearsome sum." Luo Feng laughed. "A personal team of bodyguards. What a pity that the natives would die the moment they stepped out of the world of Jin. There are also automaton-type treasures here?" Luo Feng asked. "Of course there are." Wu He's cold eyes flashed with a glimmer of excitement as he said, "There are many powerful automaton-type treasures, but the amount of military credits required is outrageously high. The more magical these automaton-type treasures are, the more precious they are. Back then, my father also managed to seize a powerful automaton-type treasure. Even after he had retired from the fighting scene, he was still a dominating figure throughout the northern True Ocean. However, to seize powerful automaton-type treasures, even a true god will need an extremely long time to accumulate military credits. For us, mere lawmasters, the rate at which we accumulate military credits will be even slower. If we want to obtain those powerful automaton-type treasures, it will be very difficult. Even if we manage to, it will take a long, long time. Luo Feng took everything to heart. It would take that long. The world of Jin was an incomparably ancient world to begin with. A single reincarnation era might be regarded as a normal length of time in the world of Jin. After all, there were many true gods here, with quite a handful of true gods of void space. If even Wu He believed that this was a very, very long time, it seemed an extremely long period would be required. And coming from Universe Ocean, time was what Luo Feng lacked. It has arrived. Wu He looked off into the distance. Luo Feng also looked over. They could see that from the military points of the Great Hall, the single-eyed true god was walking out. With a single wave, he sent 2 streams of rays descending to land before Luo Feng and Wu He. The two of you might only be lawmasters, said the single-eyed true god, but you are now entering the Python River army. So you can get this true god level armor. A set of true god level Python River armor is actually just Python River armor. He gave Luo Feng and the beast, Wu He, a quick look. It can allow you to stay alive for a longer period in the midst of a life-and-death battle, especially as new recruits. You will need to ensure that you can endure and live on. All right. Now, follow me to Python River Army. Luo Feng held the armor, feeling its oppressive force. True God level armor. In Universe Ocean, it would be supreme true treasure armor. Yet in the world of Jin, it was only the standard armor of a true god. Any warrior, who was an ordinary law master, would not be qualified to own this armor. For a special troop, however, things had to be a little more special. Seems like, Luo Feng said quietly to himself, battle armor is also divided into different levels, like True God level, True God of Void Space level. So obviously, supreme true treasures will also be different in strength, strong or weak. This must be an ordinary supreme true treasure. I suppose Black Prison Tower and Yang Jun Rod would both be regarded as ordinary supreme true treasures. Shawu Wings and Star Tower are obviously a little more special. The single-eyed, true god looked behind him and swept through the surroundings. Quick! Get the armor to recognize you as their masters and put them on. All warriors of Python River Army must wear that. Understood, Luo Feng replied. This is not even as good as mine, Wu He said, transmitting the message only to Luo Feng. Luo Feng laughed to himself. When he had first come in, he did not even bring Shawu Wings or Star Tower, which meant he did have an urgent need for this Python River armor. Getting it to recognize its master is easy. Luo Feng speedily succeeded in getting the treasure to recognize him as its master. It was not very difficult, probably on the same level as Yang Jun Rod. He quickly stored Crazy Demon Extermination, Godly Armor, while the Python River armor was rapidly appearing on his body. Soon, the dark red armor had fully appeared over his entire body. On the helmet was a skull modeled into the form of a strange python. There were also circular black lines all over the dark red armor. Beside him, Wu He, the beast, had rapidly transformed into a dark red beast. On the surface of its body were similar black lines. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. This time, Luo Feng and the others spent a full 3 days within the army camp, and finally arrived before a vast lake. There were numerous islands on the vast lake, as many as trillions of them, and the diameter of the entire lake was so vast that it had to be measured in light years. At first glance, dark red figures could be spotted. One look at them, you know they are warriors of Python River Army, Luo Feng said to himself. All of them wore dark red armor, and on their helmets were the same strange python shapes. These are your new recruits for your Python River army, the single-eyed true god shouted. His powerful voice spread out to transmit the message to every corner of this vast lake. Divide your large team into 6 smaller groups and assign them somewhere. When he finished shouting his message, he shot a quick look at Luo Feng and Wu He. Hopefully, I will still see you guys the next time around. He transformed into a streak of flowing light and departed speedily. Shortly after, numerous figures could be seen flashing in the distance. They appeared to be teleporting. Teleportation was impossible in the main surroundings of the external region, but in a certain area within that lake, it was possible to teleport. More than 20 figures were teleporting over very quickly, and soon, they were suspended in space beside Luo Feng and Wu He. Some were humanoid life forms while others took the form of beasts. They were all scrutinizing Luo Feng and Wu He. Wu He lifted his chin proudly as he shouted, "My father is the master of Northern True Ocean." Of the 20-plus figures suspended in the space above, a tall and burly man immediately replied, "In the army, your father cannot help you no matter how impressive he is. The 2 of you, report your names and tell us what you are good at." "I am Wu He." Wu He roared. "I am skilled in. I am good in. Well, my godly body is big enough. My godly body is more than 1 million kilometers in length." "Yes, you do have quite a big godly body," said the big, burly man. He looked at Luo Feng. "What about you?" "I am Milky Way," Luo Feng replied. "I am more powerful than Wu He in terms of ability, and I am more skilled in close combat evasion." Beneath a gigantic pair of curved horns, the burly man's gray eyes gazed at Luo Feng and Wu He. "Both of you are gifted with talents that can be considered at the ordinary standard of my Python River army. However, in half a month's time, 6 of our troops will be going out. It is just your luck. The 2 of you have to make full use of your time and train to the best of your abilities, so you can brush up your skills. The moment you join us, you are met with a mission ranked at a catastrophe level. How unlucky can you be?" This video will end here.